Top story then, as just mentioned, 3 civilians we're hearing now tonight have reportedly been killed in the eastern Ukrainian city of Slavyansk, one of the main targets of Kiev's military operation in the region.
Это ужас, они что, больные? Люди живут тут, никого никаких нету, и этих, а то, что убили. Боже, убили.
Well, these are the latest pictures on your screens there from the scene we've been getting from RT's video agency, Rutley. Local self-defence forces say the army opened fire on a residential area. As you can see the tail of the mortar shell there, what's believed to be the one that went off. Houses were damaged there in that mortar shelling. Let's get more from RT's Maria Finoshna. She's following the situation in the region for us. Hi there. This news has only come in the last hour or so. Bring us up to date with what we know has happened in Slavyansk tonight then.
Well, I have to say that the situation in this part of the country is getting more and more dramatic, and we witness truly violent escalation of the Ukrainian crisis in the country's east and south. Now we hear that 3 civilians were killed in the town of Slavyansk, just kilometers from where we are now, after a fire was opened at a residential area there. Just to remind you, indeed, it was at the epicenter, this small town, of a large-scale military operation launched earlier by Kiev against those who were described as terrorists, and this is why Kiev called this operation anti-terror, counter-terror operation. These people are those who do not recognize the authorities in Kiev and the country's new government, asking for more or for complete independence from the city center. And for several weeks already, the army has been on the ground in this part of the country, with clashes continuing every day and with casualties rising. So it is very hard to say exactly what happened today in Slavyansk, but self-defense forces representatives are saying that it was an airstrike of the Ukrainian army. So that could be true, since we know that the army has been on the ground for quite a long time already. But we have the opportunity to hear from the witnesses, so let's take a listen to what they say about what exactly happened.
The ammunition has been falling nearby, within 300 or 400 meters. We approached the area and saw a man who was dead. A mortar bomb fell just near a 9-story apartment block. All the windows on the ground floor were smashed. There were many people with injuries to their legs and arms. Then we moved to another area and found a woman's body just where another bomb fell. We counted up to 8 craters there.
As you can see there, Maria, that happened right in the middle of a packed residential area. Very disturbing pictures coming back. But those 3 deaths weren't the only ones today. You're in nearby Donetsk. There was also a death there.
Yes, we can say that a military operation by the Ukrainian army to free the strategic location, the city's civil airport, is now in full swing, and helicopters and fighter jets are still in the air from time to time. We can see and hear them not only overflying the area around the airport and the city, and with the mission of reconnaissance, but also firing at different targets on the ground. And we now also hearing that there are clashes in the northern part of the city. So now it is apparently happening inside the city itself already. Well, there is an escalation, of course, of the events here in the capital. And I have to say that the situation has been very tense for several weeks already. But Donetsk is a very big city with a population of 1 million. It is the regional capital. And of course, now with this operation happening here, concerns are higher and higher about how the situation may end and where it may lead. We have been able to go to the scene after we heard that the operation started to free the airport, and we were able to get quite close. And here's my report from the ground. We're now less than half a kilometer away from Donetsk city airport. You can see it behind me, and we cannot get any closer because it is simply dangerous. You see black smoke everywhere. We hear firing, and from time to time the Ukrainian Army's fighter jets and helicopters appear here overflying this area and firing at different targets on the ground. And we hear and see someone from the ground firing back. So as you can see, the military operation to free this strategic location is now undergoing and in full swing. Just to remind you, very early on Monday, the airport of the city of Donetsk was seized by a group of gunmen identifying themselves as the representatives of the self-proclaimed People's Independent Donetsk Republic. Just 4 hours later, it was closed with all flights suspended. The Ukrainian military surrounded the area immediately, and the operation to free this strategic location started shortly after that.
Well, our team managed to speak to the head of the Ukraine mission from the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe about this latest set of troubling developments in Donetsk. This is what she told us.
It's a cause of great concern. As you know, there is a UN Human Rights Commission in the country, and they are reporting on human rights questions, and will continue to do so after we leave.
The escalating violence in the east comes hot on the heels of the presidential vote. Of course, confectionery billionaire Petro Poroshenko's the most likely winner, judging by the early results still coming in. He's already come out in support of the military crackdown on pro-autonomy forces. Earlier, I discussed the chances of easing the tensions between Kiev and the east with Victor Figueroa-Clark. He's an international affairs expert from the London School of Economics.
We seem to be seeing either a loss of control of certain elements of the military or the new National Guard type units, the right-wing militia units which have been behind some of the recent fighting, or an effort by the new government to rely on force rather than political solutions to this terrible problem.
Victor, if you just stay on the line for a second, I just want to go through with our viewers a little about Petro Poroshenko, of course, the president in waiting at the moment. We've put together a little bit of CV and background here, so we'll come back to you in a second to talk about the man himself. Right, let's take a look at it, shall we? Poroshenko's a magnate with a fortune estimated at around $1.6 billion. He's a very rich man indeed, according to Forbes. He owns a confectionery firm and also a TV channel. Now, Poroshenko isn't new to the political scene. He's been on good terms with 3 presidents in a row in the past. As for his CV, he was head of the Budget Committee in 2002. Fast forward 5 years later, he became one of the bosses of Ukraine's National Bank. And just a couple of years ago, he served as an economic development and trade minister. So this guy has been on the scene before. Victor, back to you. Because he's not exactly what you could call a new broom to sweep clean, what is he going to bring to the so-called party? Is he really the man to calm things down here? Because he said he wants to step up military operations in the east.
I mean, my worry would be that someone with a political career as varied as his is actually looking for power for their own material benefit rather than for the benefit of Ukrainians as a whole. I mean, one of the protest slogans of the Euromaidan movement and the protest movement in general over the last few months has been the desire to get rid of corruption and rule by oligarchs in Ukraine. And yet here we have arguably one oligarch replaced by another with a slightly different geopolitical vision.
Meantime,